matches back in the day, they weren't 20 minutes inside of a steel cage. They weren't 15 minutes at WrestleMania. Sometimes you were coming back after years off and wrestling 4 times as long in the matches what you were used to. Like, damn right.
That's
like,
crazy.
What is going on, you guys? Rick Ucchino here for the Takedown on SI YouTube channel, and you know my guest at this time. She needs absolutely no introduction. WWE Hall of Famer, 7-time women's champion, and soon coming up here on your 25th anniversary in professional wrestling. The GOAT, thank you for your time, Trish Stratus.
Quarter of a century? Really? Is it nuts?
Okay, so like, it's amazing to me how, like, my daughter just turned 6, and I'm like, blink of an eye, like 6 years is gone.
Yeah.
25 years.
Blink of an eye, same thing.
This weekend, we're at GalaxyCon for your 20th anniversary of Many Monday at Raw for the first time with Lita.
Yep.
My good, like, is it hard to, just soak in the fact that it's been that long?
Yeah, it really is. And it only, when it really rings true is when I see fans, like at an event like this, and they're like, hey, I've been watching you since I was a kid. Grown-ass people at this point too, right? And exactly. And they're with their kid, though. That's super cool. The generational pass down is very cool.
Yeah.
But then it does really settle in, like, holy smokes, I've been around for a while.
Yeah. Well, I was a sophomore in high school when that match happened, so, I'm not...
last person right here.
I look younger than I am. You can see the kids have put the gray hairs in my head.
Yeah,
so you
that
can see
happens.
It does happen indeed. But like, just looking back on that match in particular, it was such a building block match for women's wrestling, and of all the great things that you've done in your career, that was such a women main eventing WrestleMania, and I believe you cut a promo on this. That probably doesn't happen unless that glass ceiling has broken first. Like, you look on your Hall of Fame career, is that what you can look back on as like the thing you're most proud of? Is that match in particular?
I think it's definitely one of those milestones and like turning points in the career where we're like, we've come a long way. We did it. You know what I mean? And like when I talk about like what I notice is that people who don't really know wrestling. I think that's why, do you understand like the importance of the, like, you know what I mean? Like last night when it was Amy and I, if someone didn't know us, we were making a joke. If someone didn't know us, we would say, it was actually the moderator who said this, like the importance of these guys if you look at women's wrestling now, that moment really changed the trajectory of women's wrestling in general. We had no idea at the time. We were just like, oh my God, we have a huge moment. Let's go not suck. And we knew that like it was important for us in that moment and for the girls in the back. We knew that this was like a big chance they were taking on us, huge responsibility on our shoulders, but we did not really think about the impact it would have moving forward or what it meant, because we were so, of course, in the moment, but also could never imagine where it would lead, right? Like looking back, who would have thought we would have had all these things? Even when I had a cage match, last year, I would have never, if you had asked me back then, like, I would have never thought we could have done something like that, So, very huge and pinnacle part of my career, and really the building blocks for so much more today, which is so cool to look back and see.
When you got started back in 2000,
I
mean, you guys had to literally fight for the right to throw a punch.
Yeah.
And now we're coming up on the 8th Women's Royal Rumble match. Yeah. We're getting Women's United States Championship, Intercontinental Championship. I'm sure you would endorse Zoe Stark for the Intercontinental Championship. Maybe not after she laid her out. I was in Pittsburgh for that. We'll get there in a minute. But, I look at where women's wrestling has come from, and I've always been an advocate for women's wrestling, and I'm not just saying that to boast.
No, I know you have, and I appreciate that.
Yes. I look at it and I go, finally, but also, what the hell took so long?
It took a while. Yes, we're talking about 25 years. Yes. And how blessed am I to be able to have gone back and dip my toes in the waters of the current landscape that I help, build a little part of. What an honor to be able to do that and to see the difference and to feel the difference in the crowd and the reception of the crowd and colleagues, because I remember it was very hard for us to even get the acceptance of the boys of where we were. We remember, Amy and I reflected yesterday, there was a weird energy when we got to the building that night, knowing we were mid-event, that people were like, they didn't want to tell us because we hadn't been told yet. They're waiting for Michael Hayes, who was the first who broke the news to us. But there was this energy we went by, people were like, what is this look they're giving us? And the guys, we felt like it was a little bit like, they weren't quite like, yes, congrats. Like, they weren't giving it to because they were like, let's just see if they don't suck. And so we took their spot. We took their spot that night, technically, right? Yeah. But they want to make sure. So, but we did feel the love once we did nail it. We came out, we finished the job, got the job done, and we came back to Gorilla, standing ovation, and we felt the love, and the respect from our colleagues.
Yeah, like I can't even imagine like being in that high pressure of a situation because if it was a total
like if we sucked, if we couldn't deliver, we didn't look little things. People don't realize hitting the time. That's important.
Yes.
This is a trained thing you need to know. It's a television show. We need to finish at this time with the right moment, peaking at this time. Like, oh, that's so important. And there was moments in the match that I'll tell you, like we were cut on time. We were like, oh, so we had to change course. We had to pivot. So these are all things that main eventers do, and so that we were out there never main eventing before. That's the first time. It could have changed. We could have sucked. We could have not finished well. The crowd could have not reacted. Amy could have died after the suicide dive.
Oh my God.
Forget it.
Jeez, I watched that match again back last night. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, everyone still. Oof. So, who knows? Like, so, the universe had it in play that this would be a moment for us and women everywhere, right? So here we are today.
For sure. And, you brought up one of my favorite things about professional wrestling because my day job is working at a sports talk radio station in Cincinnati. And I work with a lot of former collegiate athletes, NCAA players who are looking at the landscape of things now, NIL deals and the kind of money that people are getting in the NFL. Yeah. And they're just sitting back there like, it's really great for all these guys.
You're welcome.
Yes. You were able to come back
and dip into a little bit of that.
And dip into a little bit
that money.
But not only that, like one of the things that I'm looking back on as I'm doing my research for this, a lot of your matches back in the day, they weren't 20 minutes inside of a steel cage. They weren't 15 minutes at WrestleMania. You were coming back after years off and wrestling 4 times as long in the match as what you were used to. Like, damn right.
That's
like,
crazy.
How much of an adjustment was that for you?
Yeah, big adjustment. Initially, we didn't know how long the run was. It was a neat novelty idea. Becky and I wanted to work together. We pitched us at WrestleMania. We knew that I knew that if I went back, I wanted to do a heel turn because I was like, if I'm going to go back, I want something challenging as a performer, and something different for the fans. I'd come back and done this 1,000 times, and it was like, let's give them something different and unexpected too. I think people didn't expect that. And then, just to make it more interesting, like, Becky and I had no television history. So we're like, okay, like me turning on her, we'd have to really work it to get to, like, for people to care enough. So we brought in Amy. And then, of course, like, for me to turn on my bestie was, shocking. And it just made everything perfect, And to be and share that moment with my bestie as well, like, super cool. We got that WrestleMania. But yeah, it was an adjustment. But then it kept going. Like, it just was like, kind of be the WrestleMania match. Then I turned and I could get my, Trish can get her little heel, match out. But then it just was like working and we just kept going. And I know sometimes some feel I went too long. We just kept knowing, like, at the end of the day, as long as they get something that's memorable and we kind of like put a nice button on the end of this feud, that's what people remember.
You absolutely nailed it.
Thank you.
That match that you had with Becky, that bought my ticket to drive to Pittsburgh to see that match.
Yeah.
Because I was there at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Wanted to see that match. Unfortunately, we didn't get it.
Yeah.
But I think things worked out in the end because when I say that was the best cage match I've seen in person in my life, I mean that. Truly mean that. That moment where you're on top of the cage and you get flown back and you're just strung up like you've just been picked up like by Predator or something like that. Like, from the angle I was sitting, I had a heart attack in my seat because I didn't see. I did not see your feet just dangling there.
Yeah, I felt that crowd do that too. I got goosebumps. Look at it, legit goosebumps.
You're doing the whole rock thing.
I know. The mana, I don't know. Stramana. I don't know if it's Stratus. But yeah.
But that match, you stuck the landing on that, and you were talking to TV Insider the other day about, teasing something for your 25th anniversary. But there's also got to be that internal struggle of
how do you top that?
100%. Yeah.
And I've always said this, and like for me, there's a couple of boxes I need to check. I need to go back and like, I'm not going to give you like a cool 60. Like she's good, like she's doing okay for an old. I don't want to do that. Right? If I can go, I'll go, but I don't want to not go. Be able to do and deliver what their fans are accustomed to. And so that was a thought when I went back the last time as we're working. I watched back keenly, be like, I'm pulling it off. Okay, am I pulling it off? I pull it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have to be able to deliver 100%. And then also it has to be something challenging and different for the fans, and it has to do something and mean something. So to leave off on this epic moment that's memorable and people talk about it, it's hard. Like, what can top that? What moment can we do that? Not to say it has to top it, but it has to be at least equal with it, right? So we always. So the other box is creative. what is the creative? Who's it going to be with? You know, I loved working with Zoe when I went back. That was important to me because I knew that like I'm doing something, I'm giving back. You know, obviously I'm not giving back to the rub, should I need the rub, right? But it was, but what I saw in that was like a fan generational face-off for fans is like that. So I was like, I know I'm giving the fans
the Rock Hogan kind of situation.
Yeah, and I'm giving the fans that. So that was cool. And then Zoe coming in made me feel like, okay, we're kind of like next genning, right? So it was nice. So we'll see.
Yeah, and
a couple boxes.
I spoke to her multiple times throughout the course of that feud. Like you can tell, like that whole situation, it really meant a lot to her. Yeah. And you know, you come back for this extended run. You know, I believe the first time you came back since 2011 was like in 2018. Yeah, and for the really kind of dipped the toe in the water, and you got to work with a lot of, you know, really great people. Obviously, the match with Charlotte Flair sticks out. SummerSlam, WrestleMania, you get to work with Bayley, obviously. Which, by the way, just going off course, the fact that you got to work Lita in there and get her second ever WrestleMania match, which pissed me off when I realized she had only had one up to that point.
I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That was only her second WrestleMania match ever.
That's a crazy stat.
Yes.
Holy smokes. No wonder I was Miss WrestleMania.
There you go. Yes.
That's nuts. I didn't really know that either. And we talked about this yesterday our event, our celebration of the 20th anniversary, was the WrestleMania match between Trish and Lita never happened. You know, and that was supposed to happen that year that she got injured. We were on course to do that. So that's wild. So to be there with her for very many reasons wasn't me.
So that was spectacular, you know, in and of itself. But like Becky, Charlotte, Bayley, I'm just gonna ask you, how the hell have you never wrestled Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks?
Oh, well,
the story was right there.
So there. I think it didn't come because I really think people never thought I'd ever come back for another match. Like after the Royal Rumble, it was enough. It was a little, you know, sizzle reel, so to speak, at Trish Stratus' satisfaction, which is like not easy to pull off, but you know, like all right, you know, you still got it, whatever. But to think of like, can she come back after how many years to do a match? Like what, 17 years after my retirement or whatever the crazy number is, which is wild. Still, but then then she left. So.
But you mean there's not like a money match or anything that can pull you to another company or anything? No? Nope. Mom, she's staying silent on that.
No, I'm not. I'm a WWE. I really am a WWE girl all the way. I really am.
Okay. All right, so put that one to bed. We'll have to wait.
You never know. That could be, who knows? Whenever.
Never
There's
say
still
never,
so much more life to be had.
So, teasing maybe you might be coming back here a little bit. I know I'm already over on time, so I apologize on that. But, you know, I know you're very storyline driven.
Yes.
So if you're looking ahead to 25 years and maybe that story that might bring you back, how does that work? Do you start thinking about, I know you want to work with Nia Jax, do you start getting the hamster wheel rolling there, or does WWE come to you to pitch you with stuff?
It's really collaborative right now. It really is looking at the landscape, what's happening right now. It was just like the Charlotte match, like that came about me going like, it was literally the commercial ran. I was sitting in my living room, the commercial, and I was like, it's in Toronto. You know what? I should call Vince, and that would be cool if Charlotte happened to not be working. And I was like, that would be awesome. In my mind, that's a fantasy matchup. Hey, what do you think of this fantasy matchup? And it happened. So it is about like examining the current landscape, like, you know what I mean? If there's availability, it just, even like Becky, when we went back, Becky didn't have she wasn't working, and went to WrestleMania. Like it really worked out, right? Yeah. So I think it's like examining the landscape and seeing what works best for there's so many parties to consider. The person that is in the storyline, the WWE, like it's really collaborative, you know?
You look at the landscape of women's professional wrestling, which kind of has to make you feel like a proud mom almost. Like, there are women's wrestlers coming out of the woodwork. You could literally pick 20 of them and do something with it. It's
so cool. We did this event, you know, with Amy, the main event celebration, and we had a journalist who came out, and he had a thank you message. Like it was like basically had talked to a bunch of different women's wrestlers, Thunder Rosa, like just people that I had no idea that we had influenced, and I thought that was so special to see that, like from TNA to AEW to WWE, and it was very special. And you know, I get a goosebumps thinking about it because it you know, you don't really realize the impact sometimes until you are there, you know. So who knows?
Going back to that match Monday Night Raw, main event, you know, like it took some time between that match and WrestleMania 35.
Sure did.
But there were women who watched, little girls who watched that night, who I guarantee you, the Beckys, the Trish's, or the Sashas, the Charlottes, who came in 2016 and then took over. And so you really did lay the foundation. So once again, I'll close out by saying thank you, Trish. Thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll talk again come 2025 when the anniversary rolls around. Yes,
thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate you guys. Easy for me to say here. Subscribe, like. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.